You know, the bookstores are full of them, the seminars promise them, the gurus sell them for $997. Everyone's searching for secrets to success. And I'm going to tell you something that might upset you. There aren't any. And I don't say that to discourage you. I say it because this truth, this simple truth, is going to set you free from years of searching in all the wrong places. Let me take you back to when I was 25 years old. I was broke, not just a little short on cash, but genuinely broke. And like most people in that situation, I was looking for answers. I read every book I could get my hands on. I went to seminars when I could scrape together the admission fee. I was convinced that somewhere out there was this piece of information, this secret knowledge that successful people had and I didn't. And I thought if I could just find it, if someone would just tell me what it was, everything would change overnight. I spent years in that search. Years. And you know what's interesting? During all those years of searching for the secret, I kept running into the same information over and over again. Work hard. Be disciplined. Save more than you spend. Invest in yourself. Treat people well. Be consistent. Set goals. Stay focused. Every book said basically the same thing. Every seminar teacher taught similar principles. But I kept thinking that can't be it. That's too simple. There must be something more, something they're not telling me. Here's what I finally realized, and this changed everything. There was no secret they weren't telling me. The secret was that there was no secret. Everything I needed to know was right there in plain sight. I just didn't want to accept it because it meant the problem wasn't missing information. The problem was me. The problem was that I knew what to do, but I wasn't doing it. Now, why am I telling you this? Because right now, at this very moment, there are millions of people doing exactly what I did. They're searching. They're reading the next book, attending the next webinar, buying the next course, convinced that this time they'll find that missing piece. And the whole time, the answer is staring them right in the face. They already know what they need to do. They're just not doing it. The success industry has become a multi-billion-dollar business, and I'll tell you why. It's easier to sell people new information than it is to get them to apply old information. Think about that. Someone can make far more money selling you a new secret, a new system, a new formula than they can by telling you to do the boring, obvious things you already know you should be doing. There's no excitement in that. There's no mystery. There's no hook that makes you pull out your credit card at 2 a.m. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Success isn't mysterious. It never has been. The principles that create success have been around for thousands of years. They're not hidden. They're not secret. They're just difficult. And there's a big difference between something being secret and something being difficult. When something is secret, you need to search for it. When something is difficult, you need to do it anyway. Let me ask you something. Do you know that you should probably eat better than you do? Of course you do. Do you know that you should exercise regularly? Yes. Do you know that you should save money instead of spending everything you make? Absolutely. Do you know that you should read books that improve your mind? Yes. Do you know that you should treat people with kindness and respect? Of course. So where's the secret? Where's the missing information? It's not missing, you already have it. What's missing is the application. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because as long as you're searching for a secret, you're off the hook. As long as you believe that your lack of success is due to missing information, you don't have to take responsibility for your current situation. You can say, well, I just haven't found the right system yet. I just haven't learned the right technique. I just need one more seminar, one more book, one more mentor to reveal what I don't know. But what happens when you accept that there is no secret? What happens when you realize that you already know enough to be successful? Then the responsibility shifts completely. Then you can't blame missing information. You can't blame the fact that nobody told you. You have to look in the mirror and ask yourself a much harder question. If I know what to do, why am I not doing it? I remember the day this really hit me. I was sitting in my small apartment surrounded by books and seminar notes. I had notebooks full of ideas, strategies, and principles. And I realized I could have filled 10 more notebooks and it wouldn't have changed anything. The information wasn't the problem. My bank account wasn't empty because I didn't know enough. My bank account was empty because I wasn't applying what I already knew. That was a turning point. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you understand that success isn't about discovering something new, but about doing something consistently, everything changes. The question is no longer, what don't I know? The question becomes, what am I not doing? You know what's powerful about this shift? It puts you in control. When success depends on finding a secret, you're at the mercy of whoever claims to have it. You're dependent on external sources of information. You're always one step behind, always waiting for someone to reveal the next piece of the puzzle. But when you understand that success is about application, not information, you have everything you need right now. You don't need to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need someone else's secret formula. You just need to start doing what you already know you should be doing. Think about the fundamentals of success in any area of life. They're not complicated. To be healthy, eat good food and move your body regularly. To be wealthy, earn more than you spend and invest the difference. To have good relationships, be honest, be kind, and be present. To build a skill, practice it consistently over time. To grow mentally, read and study and think. Where's the secret in any of that? There isn't one. It's all obvious. It's all been said a million times, and yet most people don't do it. Why not? Because doing the obvious is boring. It's not exciting. There's no glamour in going to bed on time, getting up early, eating a healthy breakfast, going to work, reading for an hour, and doing it all again tomorrow. There's no story there. There's no magic moment where everything clicks. It's just day after day of doing simple things. And our minds resist that. We want the breakthrough. We want the secret that makes it all easy. We want the shortcut. But here's what I learned, and this is crucial. There are no shortcuts, but there are smart paths. The smart path is still walking the whole distance. The smart path is still doing the work. But the smart path means you're not wasting time looking for a secret route that doesn't exist. You're not spending your energy on searching when you should be spending it on doing. I spent years searching for a better way to succeed. What I found was that the better way was to stop searching and start doing. The better way was to take what I already knew and apply it with consistency and discipline. The better way was to accept that success is built brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision. It's not found in a moment of revelation. It's built in 1,000 small moments of choosing to do what you know you should do even when you don't feel like it. Let me tell you what happens when you stop searching and start doing. First, you experience this incredible sense of relief. You're no longer anxious about missing something. You're no longer worried that there's some secret out there that you haven't discovered yet. You're no longer comparing yourself to others, wondering what they know that you don't. You realize that everyone who's successful has simply applied basic principles over a long period of time. That's it. That's the whole game. Second, you start making actual progress. See, when you're in search mode, you're consuming information but not producing results. You're learning but not earning. You're studying success instead of creating it. But when you shift into application mode, when you start doing the obvious things consistently, you start seeing changes. Maybe small at first, but they're real. Your bank account grows a little. Your health improves a little. Your skills develop a little. And those little improvements compound over time into major transformations. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but what about all those successful people who talk about their secrets? What about the books that promise to reveal what nobody else will tell you? Let me explain something about that. When someone writes a book called The Secret to Success, or What Successful People Don't Want You to Know, that's marketing. That's a hook to get your attention. And when you read those books, you know what you find? The same basic principles wrapped in different stories and examples. Work hard. Be persistent. Add value. Build relationships. Manage your money. Invest in growth. It's all there, just repackaged. And there's nothing wrong with reading those books. I still read them. But I read them now with a different mindset. I'm not looking for new information. I'm looking for new inspiration to apply old information. I'm looking for stories that remind me why the basics matter. I'm looking for different ways to think about principles I already know. But I'm not searching for secrets anymore, I'm reinforcing fundamentals. Here's a question that changed my life. What if you took everything you already know about success and actually did it for 1 year? Not searching for more information. Not jumping from one system to another. Just taking the basic principles you already understand and applying them consistently for 12 months. What would your life look like? I guarantee it would look dramatically different than it does today. But most people won't do that. You know why? Because it requires something that searching for secrets doesn't require. It requires discipline. It requires showing up when you don't feel like it. It requires doing the same boring things day after day, even when you're not seeing immediate results. It requires faith that the compound effect is real, that small actions repeated over time create massive outcomes. Searching for secrets is actually a form of procrastination. It's a way to feel like you're working on your success without actually doing the hard work of building your success. It's a way to stay busy without being productive. It's a way to tell yourself you're not ready yet, you don't know enough yet. You need just a little more information before you can really get started, but that day never comes. There's always another book to read, another course to take, another guru to follow. I wasted so much time in that trap, and I see people in it every day. They have notebooks full of ideas they've never implemented. They have bookshelves full of wisdom they've never applied. They've been to seminars and workshops and conferences, and they can quote all sorts of impressive principles, but their lives haven't changed. Why? Because they're still in search mode. They're still consumers of information rather than appliers of information. The shift from consumer to applier is everything. And it starts with accepting this uncomfortable truth. You probably already know what you need to do. Maybe not every detail, maybe not every nuance, but the core, the fundamentals, you know them. You've heard them, you've read them, they're not secret, they're not hidden. They're just hard, and the question isn't whether you know them. The question is whether you're doing them. Let me give you a simple example. Everyone knows that reading good books improves your mind and your potential. That's not a secret. That's not hidden knowledge. But how many people read just 10 pages of a good book every day? Not many. It's not that they don't know they should. They just don't do it. They're too busy, too tired, too distracted. But what if you did? What if you read 10 pages every day for a year? That's 3,650 pages. That's probably 15 to 20 books. How would that change your thinking, your vocabulary, your understanding of the world, your ability to solve problems? Dramatically, but it requires discipline, not secrets. Here's another one. Everyone knows that you should save part of what you earn. Nobody needs to tell you that. It's obvious. But most people spend everything they make and then some. They live paycheck to paycheck not because they don't know they should save, but because they lack the discipline to do it. They lack the willingness to delay gratification. They lack the ability to say no to things they want today for the sake of things they need tomorrow. That's not a knowledge problem. That's a discipline problem. Or how about this? Everyone knows that treating people well, being honest, delivering more value than you're paid for, these things build a reputation that leads to opportunity. That's not secret information. But how many people actually do it? How many people go the extra mile when nobody's watching? How many people do the right thing when the wrong thing is easier? How many people invest in relationships without expecting immediate returns? Not many. Not because they don't know better, because it's hard, because it requires sacrifice, because the results aren't immediate. This is what I want you to understand. Success isn't hiding from you. It's not locked away behind secret knowledge that only a select few possess. It's right there in front of you, in the simple, obvious things you know you should be doing but aren't. And the moment you accept that, the moment you stop searching and start doing, everything changes. Now, some of you might be feeling a little defensive right now. You might be thinking, but I am doing things. I am working hard. I am trying. And I believe you. But let me ask you this. Are you doing the right things consistently? Are you doing the obvious fundamental things that you know create success? Or are you busy with activity that makes you feel productive but doesn't actually move you forward? There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. I see people all the time who are incredibly busy. They're running around, checking things off lists, answering emails, attending meetings, putting out fires. They're exhausted at the end of every day. But their lives aren't changing. Their bank accounts aren't growing. Their skills aren't developing. Their relationships aren't deepening. They're busy, but they're not productive. They're active, but they're not progressing. Why? Because they're not doing the fundamentals. They're doing all sorts of things except the few things that really matter. They're majoring in minor things. They're spending their time on the urgent instead of the important. They're reacting instead of creating. And at the end of a month, a year, 5 years, they look back and wonder why nothing significant has changed. The fundamentals are the things that, if you do them consistently over time, will absolutely, positively, without question, change your life. And they're different for everyone depending on your goals. But in general, they're things like learning valuable skills, building meaningful relationships, managing your money wisely, taking care of your health, reading and studying, working on important projects instead of just urgent tasks, spending time with people you love, contributing to something bigger than yourself. None of that is secret. None of that is complicated, but all of it is difficult because it requires consistency. And consistency requires discipline, and discipline requires doing what you should do whether you feel like it or not. That's where most people fail, not because they don't know what to do, because they don't do what they know. I'll tell you what changed for me. I stopped asking what should I do, and started asking, what am I not doing that I know I should be doing? That's a completely different question. The first question keeps you searching. The second question makes you accountable. The first question assumes you need new information. The second question assumes you need new action. Try it right now. Ask yourself, what am I not doing that I know I should be doing? The answers will come to you immediately. You should be reading more. You should be saving more. You should be exercising. You should be working on that project. You should be having that conversation. You should be learning that skill. You should be getting up earlier. You should be going to bed on time. The list goes on. You know what you should be doing. The question is, why aren't you doing it? And the answer, in most cases, is because it's hard. Because it's not exciting. Because the results aren't immediate. Because you've convinced yourself that there must be an easier way, a faster way, a secret way. But there isn't. Success is built on the foundation of doing simple things consistently over a long period of time. That's it. That's the formula. It's not secret. It's not hidden. It's just difficult. Let me tell you about the compound effect because this is crucial to understanding why the obvious things work. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create extraordinary results. But the key phrase there is, over time. Most people understand the compound effect intellectually, but they don't feel it emotionally. They don't trust it. So they do something for a week or a month, don't see dramatic results, and quit. Then they go searching for something else, something that promises faster results, something that claims to have the secret. But here's what they don't understand. The compound effect works slowly at first. When you start saving money, the first month you might have $50. That doesn't feel like much. That doesn't feel like progress. But if you keep doing it month after month, something magical happens. Not only does the amount grow, but it starts growing faster. The 50 becomes 100, then 500, then 1,000, then 10,000. And not only that, but if you're investing it wisely, it starts earning money for you. Now, you're not just saving, you're earning on your savings. That's the compound effect. But you have to trust it long enough to see it work. Same thing with reading. If you read 10 pages today, you won't feel smarter tomorrow. You won't feel transformed. You might even think, what's the point? But if you keep reading 10 pages every day, something starts to happen. Your vocabulary expands, your understanding deepens. You start seeing connections between ideas, you start thinking differently. You start solving problems more effectively. But it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes faith in the process. And that's what most people lack. They lack the patience to do simple things long enough to see extraordinary results. They want the extraordinary results now, so they go searching for extraordinary methods. But the extraordinary results come from ordinary actions done extraordinarily well over an extraordinary amount of time. Think about anyone you consider successful. I mean really successful, not just lucky but genuinely accomplished. What did they do? They mastered the fundamentals in their field. They showed up every day. They did the work when others were sleeping. They kept going when others quit. They applied basic principles with unwavering consistency. They didn't have a secret. They had discipline. You know what the real secret is? If you want to call it that? The real secret is that most people won't do what it takes. Most people won't be consistent. Most people won't be patient. Most people won't stick with the boring, obvious fundamentals long enough to see them pay off. So when someone does, when someone actually commits to the basics and sticks with them for years, they stand out. They succeed. And then people look at them and think they must know something special. They must have a secret. But they don't. They just did what everyone knows they should do, but most people won't. I learned this lesson in every area of my life. In business, I tried 100 different strategies looking for the one that would make me rich quick. You know what worked? Providing value, treating people right, showing up every day, constantly improving my skills, and being patient enough to let results compound. In health, I tried every diet and exercise fad looking for the quick fix. You know what worked? Eating real food in reasonable amounts and moving my body regularly. In relationships, I tried all sorts of tactics to impress people and win friends. You know what worked? Being genuinely interested in others, being honest, being reliable, and being kind. Everything comes back to basics. Everything comes back to principles that have worked for thousands of years. Everything comes back to fundamentals that everyone knows but few apply. And the moment I stopped searching for something different and started doing what was obvious, my life transformed. Here's what I want you to understand. Right now, wherever you are in life, you have a choice. You can continue searching for secrets, for that one piece of information that will change everything, for that magical formula that makes success easy, or you can accept that you already know what to do, and you can start doing it. One of those paths keeps you stuck. The other path sets you free. The path of searching is seductive because it feels like progress. You're learning, you're growing, you're trying. But you're not building, you're not creating, you're not transforming. You're preparing to succeed someday when you know enough. But that day never comes because there's always more to know. The path of doing is scary because it requires you to act on incomplete information. It requires you to start before you're ready. It requires you to be willing to fail, to look foolish, to make mistakes. But it's the only path that leads anywhere. It's the only path that creates actual results in your actual life. I can't make that choice for you. Nobody can. But I can tell you from my own experience, from decades of watching people succeed and fail, that every single person who achieved something significant did it by applying basics consistently, not by discovering secrets. Every one of them knew less than they thought they needed to know when they started. Every one of them figured it out along the way. Every one of them succeeded not because they had information others didn't have, but because they did things others wouldn't do. Think about what happens when you finally commit to the fundamentals. When you stop looking for the easy way and accept the real way, something shifts inside you. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your life. You stop waiting for permission and start taking responsibility. You stop hoping for luck and start creating opportunity through consistent action. And here's what's beautiful about this shift. It happens immediately. The moment you decide to stop searching and start doing, you're different. You're no longer at the mercy of the next guru or the next system. You're in control. You know what needs to be done, and you're doing it. That's power. That's freedom. That's what success really looks like in its early stages. But let me warn you about something. When you make this shift, when you stop searching for secrets and start applying fundamentals, people around you might not understand. They're still in search mode. They're still waiting for the breakthrough. They're still looking for the shortcut. And when they see you doing simple, obvious things day after day, they might think you're missing something. They might tell you about the latest system or strategy. They might wonder why you're not trying the new thing everyone's talking about. Don't let that shake you. Remember, most people are lost in the search. Most people will spend their entire lives looking for something that doesn't exist. You've found something far more valuable than a secret. You've found the truth. And the truth is that success is available to anyone willing to apply simple principles consistently over time. Stay on that path. Trust the process. Let others search while you build. You know what else happens when you commit to the fundamentals? You develop something that can't be taught in a seminar or written in a book. You develop character. You develop integrity. You develop the kind of strength that comes from doing what you should do, even when everything in you wants to quit. That's the real transformation. Not just the external success, but the internal growth that makes you the kind of person who deserves success. Because here's something most people don't understand. Success isn't really about getting what you want. It's about becoming someone worthy of what you want. And you don't become that person by finding secrets. You become that person by doing the hard work of building good habits, making wise choices, and staying consistent even when it's difficult. Every time you do what you should do when you don't feel like it, you're not just moving towards success. You're building the character of a successful person. And let me tell you what that character looks like. It looks like someone who can be trusted, someone who keeps their word, someone who shows up when they say they will, someone who does what they promise, someone who doesn't need external motivation because they've developed internal discipline, Someone who doesn't quit when things get hard, because they've learned that hard is where growth happens. Someone who doesn't need the latest trick or tactic because they've mastered the timeless fundamentals. That's the person you become when you stop searching and start doing. That's the transformation that really matters. Because that person doesn't just achieve success once. That person can create success again and again in any situation because they understand the principles, they've internalized the fundamentals. They've built the character that makes success inevitable. And here's what's interesting, once you become that person, once you've built that character through consistent application of basics, opportunities start appearing. Not because you found a secret, but because you became someone worth betting on. People want to work with disciplined, reliable, consistent people. They want to invest in them. They want to partner with them. They want to promote them, not because of what they know, but because of who they are. Think about the people in your life who've achieved real, lasting success. Not the lottery winners or the lucky breaks, but the people who built something substantial over time. What do they have in common? Character, discipline, consistency, the willingness to do simple things well day after day, year after year. That's not coincidence. That's cause and effect. That's the result of abandoning the search for secrets and committing to the application of fundamentals. So where does that leave you today? Right here, right now, with a decision to make. Are you going to keep searching? Are you going to keep waiting for someone to reveal the missing piece? Are you going to keep telling yourself you need more information before you can start? Or are you going to accept that you already know enough? That the fundamentals are right there in front of you? That the only thing standing between you and the life you want is consistent action on what you already know? I hope you choose the second path. I hope you choose to stop searching and start doing. Because that's where your power is. That's where your future waits. Not in the next book or the next seminar or the next secret system. Right here, right now, in the simple, obvious things you already know you should be doing. So my challenge to you is this. Stop searching. Stop looking for the secret. Stop waiting for someone to reveal the hidden formula. You already have everything you need to get started. You already know what you should be doing. The only question is whether you'll do it. Whether you'll have the courage to start. Whether you'll have the discipline to continue. Whether you'll have the patience to persist until the compound effect kicks in and your life begins to transform. Success isn't hiding from you. It never has been. It's right there. In the simple, obvious things you know you should be doing. In the book you should be reading. In the conversation you should be having. In the money you should be saving. In the work you should be starting. In the habits you should be building. It's all right there. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the gap between what you know and what you do. Close that gap. Stop searching and start doing. That's not a secret. That's the truth. And that truth, if you embrace it fully, will set you free to create the life you've always wanted. Not someday. Not when you know more. Right now. Today. With what you already know. That's where your power is. That's where your future begins. That's where everything changes. The moment you stop searching for secrets and start living by principles. The moment you stop being a student of success and start being a practitioner of success. Right there is where your life transforms.